Welcome back, everybody, to the Proving Grounds Open Qualifier. We got our second game here of day two. Round four about to go underway. Once again, I'm Grapes, joined alongside my good friend in Hawk. And after that last game, I think we're ready for some even more spice coming in your way, Hawk. Another game with qualification to the main stage on the line. Evil Geniuses Prodigies up against a team that I don't think a lot of people were expecting to be here in No Name.
Yeah, Grapes, I'm going to pull back out my Proving Grounds Open Qualifier bingo card. I did not have Shochi Zillion. I also did not have no team being at, no name being at 2-1 about a face-off against our 4 seed?
Yeah, I mean, this is very exciting stuff coming out from No Name. They're a very promising team, I believe, coming in as the 29 seed entering the tournament, which I think is the lowest out of any team, sitting at 2-1 so far. But they've had very convincing wins, very exciting victories, just coming off of a victory over Bay State, which is a team that is I think 10th actually in terms of that Proving Grounds qualifying points list. So it shows that, this team is not just some random organization. These are players that are really starting to gel, really starting to perform well with each other. Also taking down Bogged yesterday, a team with a lot of former LCS veterans like Zig and Inori. So I think this is definitely a team we have to watch out for here. They could have a chance to get into the main stage right now with the win over EGP.
Yeah, I mean, first game yesterday, this 28 seed in No Name, they upset Bogged, as you mentioned, having all those veterans in a crazy backdoor sequence, and now today they've come out the gates and upset Bay State, who, as you said, is a great team. They're coming in as the 11th seed in this tournament. They were third place in the main group stage in their group last time around. So they made the main group stage, and they weren't even last in their group. So this is a team that is proving that they actually can compete with legit teams and compete at that highest level. It is absolutely unprecedented.
Yeah, and it's very exciting to see a team like this. And of course, their opponents will be Evil Geniuses Prodigies, who we just saw on Unified 2, just coming off of a loss there to Maryville University. There was a couple of highs, a couple of lows throughout that game. But I think in terms of people that we want to focus on going into this one, have to take our attention towards Faisal up there in the top side. Normally is listed as one of the better top laners that we have here in Amateur, but I kind of struggled there in that game 3.
Yeah, and it's interesting because Faisal is someone that I think last year a lot of people would have characterized as reliable. And that is definitely not a bad moniker to have. But now here on this Evil Geniuses Prodigies roster, you have, I think, a little bit more of a volatile mid-jungle 2v2 in Leo and Perry than maybe Faisal was used to on AoE with RBM and Darkwing. So with this being, the reality, Faisal stepped into a bit more of a carry role, playing a lot of carry champions, actually exclusively carry champions in at least the first Proving Grounds qualifier. So, Faisal really showing a different role than I think maybe he was accustomed to last year, and there have been growing pains with it, like you said, dropping their last game. And so it's not going to be perfect, but definitely something that I think we have to look forward to.
Yeah, and I think just a step in the right direction here would be getting this victory over a team that, isn't necessarily seeded as highly. But again, I think the one thing that we've sort of begun to determine here about No Name is you cannot underestimate them in any sense, whether they're playing any sort of team here. Actually also got to play against 100 Next, which is their only loss so far. So if you're not named 100 Next, No Name is undefeated against you. So we'll see what happens here as we get into the draft for our 4th round. I'm expecting to potentially see some targeting towards that bottom lane. I just got a chance to talk to Ryoklu, who's the general manager of No Name, and she said that Julian, definitely a great shot caller that we have to watch out for. But in terms of just mechanical talent on this team, have to take a look towards that mid and bot lane. Ayakura and Yumichi, who have been very underrated so far throughout, I think, their entire careers.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Ayakura and Yumichi actually have been playing an incredible open qualifier so far. And watching, especially the game against Bogged, Ayakura performing very well. I think she busted out the Kassadin last game against Bay State and seemingly smurfed it. A pretty impressive KDA. I didn't see the actual game itself. So we've got a lot to look forward to here in the mid lane. Ayakura, in particular, really specializing towards a lot of those AP champions, but not just mages, having some of those assassins available as well, like the Akali, like, there's things like I said the Akali, the Echo as well, and even the Kassadin can be considered an assassin. So definitely interesting champion pool stuff. We actually see the Akali and Ahri respect band away from this big carry on the side of No Name.
Yeah, it just goes to show how highly these members of EGP think of a player like Ayakura, who definitely has been performing so far throughout this event. Lulu, that final ban, interesting to note. I believe Julian has only played Lulu so far this entire OQ.
3 games of Lulu.
He's going to have to be on somebody else here. We'll see what No Name decides to respond with on this final ban of the first phase. Off the bat, they've already taken away that Zeri and the Gwen. Looks like Dapshin's Thresh will be the one to be taken away here.
It's always a good one to respect, I would say, Grapes. And you know, we should take a step back and also remember, you know, we've talked so much about what No Name has accomplished, but they also lost in 18 minutes to 100 Next. And although I would say that 100 Next is a cut above Evil Genius's Prodigies, Evil Genius's Prodigies is definitely one of these top level amateur teams. And so, you know, we've seen No Name's performance against a lot of good teams, but I would say Evil Genius's Prodigies is somewhere in the middle of Base 8 and Bogged, and then 100X sort of above that. So I'm really interested to see how they sort of play to this level, and having Jinx be left available for Sketch, who is an amazing insurance ADC, I think is a good start for this team.
Yeah, Sketch on Jinx. I'm not almost as scary as Sketch on Tristana, but I think he kind of wants to shift that narrative a little bit here as we go throughout the season. He's been playing a lot of Jinx, doing so well on it throughout this entire season, so I'm really excited to see him whip that one out here, and I believe the first game I've got to cover of EGP this season. On the other side, No Name going to be responding with that Jhin into the hands of Yumichi. Jarvan, potential pickup here for BMX Specs, who is actually subbing in for Oranuke coming into the second day.
Yeah, and BMX Specs, Jarvan going that direction, I think is to be expected. We've seen a lot of aggressive early game AD junglers. Lee Sin, I think there's a game of Jarvan in there as well. And the Hecarim have been played so far. So not entirely surprising. I would expect to see Lee Sin or Xin Zhao be the response. We've been basically seeing it all tournament. Pretty much the strongest junglers on the current patch, and there's not really any bans to be afforded towards jungle. There's so many strong blind picks that need to be removed, especially on red side. We talked about Gwen, we talked about Zeri, and then things like that Akali and Ahri as well. A lot of blue teams are respect banning those. So that does leave the jungle pool wide open and available, and these early game fighters are as popular as ever.
Yep, Xin Zhao going to get locked in here for Perry, who's looked pretty good so far, has been very aggressive throughout his first year in the Proving Ground circuit here in the jungle. There's going to be a Leo Rise to round out the first rotation here. So aside from Perry there, you got two very late game oriented carries. Definitely do a lot of damage in some of these team fights.
Yeah, and it's actually really interesting. Rise priority has been rising a lot in the last couple of days here in the Open Qualifier, as well as in Pro in Academy. So I'm really interested in this one. I mean, it scales up insanely well, but it's not really the best laner, and I do think it's counterable. So I'm a little bit skeptical of Rise. I was skeptical of it last game. We saw, actually, Doxa farm like a madman, but not really have much game impact. Not really to his fault, and I don't think it was Rise that was the problem. However, with that being said, I definitely think it's an interesting blind pick when things like that Victor are still available, and Victor able to outrange in that matchup and feel pretty comfortable.
Yeah, and we'll see how Ayakura is able to perform here on this Victor. I think this is a new champion for her, not 100% sure, but as we head into the second phase of bans,
for this tournament,
we do see some targeting here towards the solo lanes of EGP top side. You know, you normally think of that Jace as being a Leo target, but that Rise already getting locked in probably secures that the fact that they think that Faisal can play this champion
Faisal
as
on
well.
carries, Grapes.
Yeah, I mean, this is something that you maybe not have seen too much of last year, but of course Faisal definitely has been shown to do very well in some of these carries, like the Camille, like the Gangplank, so taking that off the board makes a lot of sense. On the other side, targeting more towards Julian there in that Karma, and we'll see what the final lock here is. Will be a Cho'Gath ban. I believe that is a target specifically up towards the top lane in Geiger.
Yeah, Geiger likes a lot of those big, beefy, juggernaut-type champions, and Cho'Gath sort of fits the bill, although being a little bit more tank-oriented. I'm actually really surprised to see Faisal respect band out so heavily on his carries. I feel like Faisal is always someone that was considered to have a decently large champion pool, could play a lot of different champions, even though he's in a different role, but it seems like Geiger setting up for his signature Urgot.
Yeah, really excited to see this again. He's played this in the last matchup that they had against Bay State. Did pretty well on it. Went for a more split pushing style of play style with that hull breaker.
I do believe, yeah.
Yeah, so we'll see if Geiger can impact the
gotta
side lane
be a
against
hover,
a
right?
player like Faisal. I mean, we haven't seen too much Alawi. It would be exciting to see, but instead, we might be hovering around a little bit more. But the Wukong lock-in for Faisal, I mean, this is something that I believe he played a decent amount last year.
Yeah, Wukong is something I haven't really been seeing for quite a while. The armor stacking can make it pretty formidable in the duel against the Urgot, but being so short range, you know, Wukong has to be on top of you to do all of his damage. Yes, he's got mobility, but the shotgun knees of the Urgot definitely can hurt. So I'm actually a little bit interested to see this one busted out, but I do think if you're looking for follow-up, engage, and setup to get in there with your Xin Zhao and with your Rakan to buy space for your 2 hyper carries, well, Wukong's pretty damn good at that, and he split push as well. So very interesting pick to see come out. We've been talking about if Faisal stepping into this carry role for this roster, and this is another one.
Yeah, and hopefully we'll be able to do some big damage down the line. As you see, the final lock-in here will be Julian's Soraka. Another Enchanter plays, not the Lulu, but still does very similar things. Provides the heals, provides a lot of sustainability throughout the laning phase for Yumichi, and we'll just allow her to farm up and scale, just like a good carry, you know, should in this matchup, as the rosters have been locked and the champions have gone to their respective roles here as we again prepare for this round 4 matchup. This is a very tense situation, I believe, for both of these teams, Hawk, because a win here secures your spot in the group stage, and a loss means you're fighting for your life in round 5.
Yeah, I mean, EGP is a team that would not be expected to be fighting for their life, I would say. I think a 3-1 opening to this tournament would be sort of what EGP was looking for. Certainly not starting 2-2, and even less likely to the 28 seed in the tournament if they were the ones that knocked them down. And on the other side of the coin, this 28 seed team, No Name, the team that had no expectations whatsoever, is now poised to punch their ticket to the main group stage with just 1 win. But they got to take down one of the premier teams in Amateur.
Yeah, but I do think that No Name, they set themselves up decently well here in this draft, Hawk. You take a look at the main carries in Ayakura and Yumichi. They're both on champions that they can individually do a whole lot of damage on once it gets to the late game. BMX Specs and Geiger, of course, will be that initiation, that front line, while Julian in the back just healing everybody up. But again, this is exactly where we pinpointed here. You got to look at Ayakura, got to look at Yumichi, and what they can do in terms of, you know, taking down some of these big players.
Yeah, I feel like Ayakura has been set up pretty well to carry. Victor will do a lot of damage against this, I would say, pseudo frontline. The Wukong, the Xin Zhao, and the Rakan are all frontliners, but they're not that tanky. And Victor is very, very good at taking those down, as well as I really like the Jarvan here for BMX Specs. I think you've got a lot of lanes that you can play around. And if you're able to get early plays going, I think this is what this team needs. My one concern is I think this Jhin, while it is a great utility pick, Jhin Soraka is not my favorite 2v2 in the world, and I think the Soraka pick behind it is going to really struggle to stay alive in these team fights because you have so much engagement on the other side. So I feel like EGP's composition is really easy to execute, Grapes. And although there are ways that No Name can participate in this game and can fight well, I do have my concerns.
I mean, yeah, EGP, obviously, the team composition looks good. Gotta take a look at Sketch, of course, on that Jinx, and just take a look at the pedigree of some of the members here of EGP. Definitely nothing to be scoffed at. Of course, Perry being that newer rookie that's coming in, but the rest of these players, Faisal, Leo, Sketch, all on their times on AoE. Speaking of AoE, Fizzy, the coach on the other side, also has some experience with the Area of Effect lineup in years past, but with those AoE members and Daption as well, just having a lot of experience over the past couple of years, being in Proving Grounds, competing at that highest level, you know that they have what it takes to get to that stage, and you definitely know they want to do anything that they can to get back over there.
Yeah, absolutely. They want to be participating at the top level. This is a team with a lot of expectations, a lot of pedigree, but the upstarts in No Name, the team that has... You know, they upset the team that is seated 1 above Evil Geniuses, Prodigies, and Bogged. Anything can happen to this game, Grapes. I'm actually extremely excited to see this come through. I think Evil Geniuses, Prodigies, as I said, they have a composition that is easy to execute. They got what they wanted, but No Name, I think they're on comfort, and an amateur, a lot of times, comfort's king.
Yeah, and we'll see what ends up happening here, of course, as we're about to get into the game. Just in terms of where I want to see both of these teams focus on towards this early game, I think, of course, the jungle matchup, when you have the Jin Zhao Jarvan, it's not necessarily a battle of interaction in the 1v1, but more of which jungler can do more to impact their lanes in the early game. And for BMX Specs, I would say, like, you know, that mid lane could definitely be a target here. Of course, Ayakura being one of those main carries on those teams. If you can get her ahead against the likes of Leo on the rise, get her to, you know, snowball that lead even further, can be that one tool that No Name needs to get this victory.
Yeah, I definitely expect a volatile mid-jungle 2v2 here. Ryze Xin Zhao has so much gank threat on this immobile Victor. Flash root is basically unavoidable. Well, it is unavoidable from the Ryze. And on the other side of the coin, you have a Jarvan and a Ryze that sort of struggles to get away in a lot of ways. So I feel like No Name, they're sort of looking to one-shot, whereas EGP have a lot of skirmish potential. And again, if you're able to get mid-priority, top lane is also very, very volatile. So looking at the top side of the map, definitely expecting, again, BMX Specs on this Jarvan. I need to see early action here. I think if you're just going farm for farm here with EGP, you're gonna lose out in the team fight, but we'll just have to find out.
Nice little cinematic play around the rift. About to get into the game number 4 of this open qualifier here. Once again, both of these teams, due to the Swiss format, are sitting at that 2-1 record. And as we say time and time again, that third victory gets you into the main stage. And so it's going to be very important for both of these squads. No Name, nobody expected them to be really at this stage at such a lower seeded position. They definitely have the potential to do well here.
Yeah, absolutely. They do have the potential. Nothing, you know, they may be the underdogs, but nothing changes the fact that they are here at 2-1. They have poised themselves to make it to the stage, and you cannot take that away from this team. They may be an underdog, but they are here to play all the same. They are playing at the level of these more notable amateur teams.
Nothing too aggressive to start this game off for either of these teams. I think this is a rather tense game, so you know, going for an aggressive flippy level 1 might not be the best strategy here if you're just really trying to secure yourself as being that team that deserves a spot in the main stage. And just really quickly, before these jungle camps spawn, Ryu Tsushima down for EGP. That is Daption. That is what we'll be referring to him as in AOT Sundays, Attack on Titan Sundays. On the Soraka is Julian, the former support on the side of Maryville, as well as Supernova back in years past. So another player with a decent amount of pedigree here. Junglers are going to be starting onto their red buffs, pathing towards opposite sides of the map to start us off. I believe there's a bit of an audio issue here with Hawk, so he's gonna have to take through this game until we get things resolved on that end. But for now, nothing too crazy has happened. Yumichi and Julian getting that early push here in the bottom lane against the likes of Sketch and Daption. You could see some spicy plays around that side of the map as the game continues to progress. But if anything, it will be No Name to make the aggression here with BMX Specs, sorry, pathing with that very quick level 3 down to the bottom side. Again, Hawk, if you ever, you know, are back in, just, you know.
I hope
I'm
in.
Okay.
All right, but we do see a potential gank towards mid lane, and yeah, I mean, BMX Specs just pathing aggressively here in the early game. We've got both junglers swirling.
Wow, yeah, early 2v2. They try to go for Ayakura, but she's able to escape just fine and dandy. And now it's BMX Specs getting knocked up as Perry goes for the re-engage. First blood over to the Jin Zhao, and now Ayakura might be in trouble. The autos are raining in. The red buff is taking a double kill to Perry to start things off.
Yeah, big double kill right there. We said that the one shot needs to come through for BMX Specs and Ayakura, and unfortunately it just wasn't there. Perry and Leo, they win out in the extended fight, and that is a big time double kill because we've been saying there's volatility up on the top
down in the bot lane. They're going straight towards Julian. Yumichi puts the exhaust in onto Sketch to prevent any sort of damage, but there's the flash, and Yumichi, she's going to get the kill in the 2v2 as Daption falls over aggression on the bottom side for EGP.
Yeah, the bot lane, so often considered reliable for EGP, goes down. Yumichi, she finds it with the flash crit. That's a big play. Already action in this early game. I've got to be honest, Grapes, I was not expecting volatility on this side. Now Sketch is in danger.
Yeah, here comes BMX Specs. Looking for this. It's a defensive teleport coming in from Leo, but now Sketch might try to rain in the zap onto Julian. He will be able to get out. Yumichi forced to back away as well. So Leo burns that cooldown to keep his AD carry alive, but still, it's good pressure here by No Name, trying to push the pace here in this early game.
Yeah, this will give Ayukuro lane priority here in mid due to Leo expending that teleport down to the bottom side, but Leo should at least be able to pick up most of the minions, so it's not the end of the world per se, as Perry is spotted up on the top side. So both teams just sort of farming it out, seeing each other on the map. We had some early action, but I'd expect the pace of the game to maybe slow down ever so slightly, as jungle camps are still up and available to be taken.
Wow, Perry's level 5. How did that happen? I mean, I guess he's just been farming after that, getting that double kill. Actually sitting ahead of Ayakura.
Double kill gives a lot of XP.
Yeah, so really good stuff from Perry early on, making sure that he's able to capitalize on those aggressive ganks that he went for, and making No Name maybe potentially start to pay here. And BMX Specs, of course, after trying to go for that bot dive after dying in the mid lane, is actually still sitting at level 3, so might need some of Julian's help to get back into this game.
Yeah, and I do think Perry is a player that's come into Amateur and really made a name for himself as being a very good mechanical jungler. He's intelligent at pathing, he's able to get a lot of farm for himself and make good plays, as Leo is in danger here. Yep,
BMX Specs forcing the flash out of Leo early. Doesn't look like he's going to be in trouble, but Ayakura has a very good lane state here with the wave pushing in towards her turret. On the bot side, yep, this is the punish here. Yumichi definitely has to just be very, very cautious, as all of the prio on the bottom side belongs to EGP, and maybe Yumichi steps a little bit too far forward. She does have the Deadly Flourish, but will not be able to land in onto Daption. Collapse now here for No Name as the reinforcements have arrived, and will allow the Jhin to get some of the minions down under the tower.
Yeah. And here comes Leo as well, just to zone No Name entirely out of their jungle. And this is what I was talking about. It just, Perry's able to get ahead because he's got the support of his team and he knows how to path efficiently. So having that 39 CS, he's probably well on his way to level 6 already, I'd imagine. Only a camp or 2 off, maybe after this Dragon and Scuttle Crab. Going to be able to secure that one. And it does mean that EGP is about 1,000 gold ahead. So despite the kill score being relatively even, if you just look across the board and farm, EGP's feeling pretty good.
Yep, you're going to pick up that first Dragon as well. Get some extra move speed, some extra ability haste with that Hex Tech Drake in tow. So things looking good for EGP to start things off, about 1k gold. But again, you got to just take a look at the rest of the map. No Name still have the potential to make some plays here. You take a look at BMX Specs going for some early invades, knowing that Perry was on the bot side of the map. So trying to get something in response, but it's going to take a little bit more than that to get the Jarvan back to an even state.
Yeah, and at this point, it's basically a vertical jungle. And while that is somewhat favorable for this Jarvan that really needs to catch up, that does mean Yumichi and Jerry vulnerable down here on the bottom side, and you remember, no flashes.
There goes Daption already, but again, getting chunked down low, gets tagged by the Deadly Flourish. Yumichi doesn't have the flash, so she will not be able to try to finish the job off again.
Geiger.
Meanwhile, topside, Geigel going for a 1v1. Oh, the Fear Beyond Death just times out. One more auto, one more second, and Faisal might have been looking at a gray screen, but now going to face check this brush and run straight into BMX Spex's arms. Faisal going down here in the top side, as looks like No Name are going to be able to survive for now.
Yeah, that's a really big trade back. Geiger just barely didn't have the timing on the ultimate to finish off the kill before it expired, but importantly, Faisal was taken low enough, and the flash was already burned previously, I believe, off camera, meaning that in the face check, Faisal gets taken down. So BMX Specs is able to pick one up on the back, and that was definitely a play in a kill that No Name needs to stay competitive in this game. They're still only about 300 gold behind. But remember, Graves, what I said was I'm a little bit worried about No Name's ability to execute in the team fights against what I feel like is such an easy to execute Evil Genius's Prodigies comp. So I want to see if they're able to find anything else.
If they look for something here, as there comes the flag and drag. BMX Specs immediately taking down Daption, who just steps way too far. Another kill going in onto the Jarvan. No Name doing a really good job at weathering the storm here due to all the aggressive invades that EGP have been going for. They're going to start up this Herald.
Yeah, and Perry mourning the death of his support right there as Daption just gets blown away. Really nice bait from No Name.
Here they go. Oh no, Perry is able to steal away the Herald, pops the Crescent Guard, forces the flash out of BMX Specs. Didn't look like the smite came through in time. Very good play coming out of EGP, able to capitalize a little bit off of what was a disadvantageous situation for themselves. They're going to pick up the Herald. Faisal collects the eye. And so just a slight respite back here in this game.
Yeah, despite the pick, EGP actually had a 4v4 because of Geiger being down here on the bottom side. Speaking of which, could get picked.
Yeah, getting collapsed on here is 4 levels ahead of Daption and is pretty tanky here on the Urgot, but down to the bottom lane, Leo
No
comes
flash,
as
though.
well. The Super Mega Death Rocket will chunk him down to below 200 HP. Doesn't see like it's going to be very easy for him to get away from that one, and that is Geiger going down here on the bottom side, but look at another play on the opposite side of the map here for EGP. Perry going to flash forward on Yumichi. She will be forced to flash away as well. But look at the re-engage. Curtain Call coming out. Flag and Drag. Nice gets cancelled by the Cyclone. But BMX Specs coming in with that Cataclysm. The Deadly Flourish will lock down Faisal for a little bit, but he will still be able to lock down BMX Specs. Pick up that shutdown. Ayakura teleporting in as well, trying to pick up the kill onto the Wukong. Will Yumichi have the range to be able to finish off the kill? The answer is no. Faisal with the great escape.
Yeah, Faisal manages to turn it around 1-for-1 on this side. However, it was a big shutdown into the pocket of the Jin. So Yumichi, she is poised to carry in this game here, as it is Geiger getting picked off here on the side lane, just trying to get onto some of those plates. However, Sketch and Daption were just there too quickly. And I want to give a shout out to Daption here for his positioning. Always standing directly between Sketch and Geiger so that no matter how low his AD carry gets, he cannot be killed off. Meanwhile, on the other side, Julian's flash critically had come just back up, and Perry, no ultimate from the Rift Herald play means that there's no way to deny some of this long-range damage. However, Faisal, he does a lot of damage himself. Manages to turn that one around and make it a 1-for-1.
Yeah, and I think it's a different story if Ayakura was able to get to that fight a little bit earlier, of course, with the teleports not being unleashed yet. She wasn't able to find a ward or a minion to get to a better position, so had to walk all the way over from that top lane turret. So Faisal didn't really have enough damage raining onto him to go down. Sketch, yeah, did blow the flash, as Yumichi forcing another summoner spell there with that Deadly Flourish. So right now, No Name in the lead against the higher seeded team. EGP still have a lot of avenues to get some advantages here to continue their reign here and get that spot into the main stage. But No Name's still looking good. They're proving that there weren't flukes there. There's victories that they had.
Yeah, and it's a huge flash blow now, 10 seconds before Dragon Spawn. Sketch not having that available against the Jarvan is so terrifying. And you know, no matter how many punches it seems like EGP is throwing, No Name is going pound for pound with them. I do think maybe No Name could be a little bit further ahead if their execution was just that little bit better, but you cannot fault them for the game that they have played so far. They are hanging with a high caliber team, Grapes, and it does seem like the contest around the Dragon might be getting mounted as Daption. No, does not fancy
it's just
an adventure
Daption.
to the river.
Yeah, Rocket already used. No potential for a steal with Perry already moving towards that top side of the map, so will be No Name evening up that Drake count at 1 as the Ocean Rift starts to go through. Perry now, after not being able to secure that Drake, take a look towards Geiger up in the top side. Will land the slow with the wind becomes lightning and might continue the chase here. He's going to use that Audacious Charge forward. If anything, you're just pushing him off the wave, so not the worst thing here for EGP, even if you don't get the kill.
Yeah, and really nice buffer right there from Geiger on the E to avoid the knockup. However, Geiger's been getting zoned off quite a few waves here for the last few minutes. It does mean that Ayakura, though, gets to come down to the bottom side and start to zone Sketch. And remember, we talked about that big flash being down, Graves. This is the 2v4.
Here we go. Dive already starting, but Daption does chunk out Julian pretty low before the fight ends up beginning, but the rest of the team is here. BMX Specs locks up too with the Cataclysm and the Curtain Calls coming in. Going to be a kill, make it another one as Yumichi picks up Daption at the end of that fight. It's a 2-for-1. One fell for the side of No Name, but certainly still a decent trade for them. Meanwhile, on the top side, that Herald was used to take down the first turret of the game, and now Faisal is going aggressive onto Geiger. Will he be able to turn this into 1v2? He gets one! Perry is gonna not able to secure it! Geiger survives in the dive, picks up the double, and the turret remains up as well.
I thought Geiger was certain to die right there, Grapes, but no, the Triumph keeping him alive. Faisal and Perry going too deep under the tower. And on the bottom side, although Daption finds a great engage onto the Soraka to get the initial pick, the tower juggling from No Name was just beautiful. And they're able to pick up the double as well. No Name is going blow for blow with the evil geniuses Prodigies.
More than blow for blow here, Hawk. They're up 1,000 gold at this point. Take a look at this top dive again. Geiger lands the flip initially, and then Perry is not able to do much after that.
Yeah, I mean, Perry just takes so many tower shots, and they're not really able to both DPS at the same time. It's sort of one going in after the another, which means that this tanky Urgot was able to stay alive for so long. And then, I mean, it was absolutely incredible. Geiger showing why he is partial to this Urgot, hunting alone right there with the Hull Breaker under his own tower.
Yeah, I mean, if he was unkillable in the 1v2 before, now with this Hull Breaker, all those extra resistances, while you are alone here in that side lane, going to be even harder to take Geiger down. And for No Name, things are looking very, very solid for them. Certainly in a position to potentially look to qualify to this main stage as that 28 seed. Be a brilliant storyline if it ended up happening, but EGP still have avenues back into this game, as we said before. Still have Sketch on this Jinx as your late game win condition. Leo has gotten very, very fed in terms of farm in the CS, so the Rise will be scaling up quite nicely in that regard. And as you said earlier, Hawk, while we were talking about the draft compositions, they have a very solid 5v5.
Yeah, absolutely. And what I will say, though, is if Julian gets jumped on, right, it will be very hard to stay alive. But if not, Soraka scaling cannot be understated. And if we want to talk about scaling up, let's look at Yumichi here on the Jhin. 600 gold ahead of everybody else in this game. She is popping off 3-0 and 2, well on her way to her second item. I mean, this is an absolutely insane performance. And meanwhile, Sketch doesn't even have 100 farm yet, Grapes.
Yeah, really brilliant stuff coming out from the no-name bot lane. I think Yumichi and Julian are both two very critical members to this roster and critical to their success so far throughout the open qualifier. Yumichi, again, getting this Jhin at 3-0 and 2. She's definitely going to be very happy about that one, as Rift Herald has been started up here by EGP. BMX Specs lost his smite fight in the last one. Going to try for a round 2. Doesn't look like Perry's going to give it to him, though. It looks like they're going to peel away for now as the rest of No Name try to collapse.
Yeah, very important flashes are available for EGP. Only Faisal's is down, but Wukong has ways to stay alive in the Cataclysm. So, means BMX Specs' engage is maybe a little bit worse than you might expect. However, they are still leashing this Herald, and the positioning here from No Name is good, but look at Faisal on the back.
Watch the flank. Here comes Daption as well. No Name are all corralled into the likes of EGP, and Iyakur is the first casualty in this fight. It's a trade back, though, as Daption falls. Watch the curtain call coming out from Yumichi. Geiger refuses to die on the front side. Finally, will get taken down by Sketch, and here come the resets. Yumichi still does enough damage, but the health bars are just too high, potentially, for EGP. There comes the triple for Sketch as Julian goes down, and it will not be that quadra. Yumichi will survive, but what a turnaround here for EGP, getting that gold into that main carry.
And this is exactly what we were talking about, Grapes. It's just so hard to stay alive if you are the No Name backline. And it is the man of the hour, Faisal, our new found carry player, getting the flank with the Wukong. And although they do manage to trade back a couple kills, does No Name. Faisal is way too tanky in the front line, and once Gen Stream starts resetting, it's all said and done. He may have been poor before Grapes, but he just got paid.
Absolutely. And Sketch is, a player that we've been covering a lot recently here in the Proving Ground circuit, and is definitely one that has been very, very strong, and getting onto the likes of this LCS affiliate team, definitely proving that he is of that caliber to continue potentially moving forward here in the North American space. Julian might be in a bit of trouble here. That Deadly Flourish not going to do enough to lock down the rest of EGP, as the Soraka will get punished pretty heavily off of a potential overextension.
Yeah, I would say more than a bit of trouble right there, Grapes. And it is one of the things about playing Soraka is you can't really face check anything. You're going to die very fast. You have no escapes whatsoever. And you really, really rely on team support. So unfortunately, Julian does get picked off right there. However, not the, I don't want to say it's the end of the world, but definitely means that EGP is going to get the map. They're going to take the dragon. And although that is only their second of the game, again, easy to execute comp means that if you're able to force 5v5s, it gets terrifying.
Leo now here to try to fight this 1v1 against Ayakura. The Chaos Storm has been unleashed, but Leo is so tanky here on this Rise. Already working for that Fimwinter as well. There comes a collapse from Daption. Ayakura will go down in this side lane. So another pick there by EGP, punishing No Name a little bit more. The gold lead starting to sneak back up in their favor.
Yeah, Victor doesn't really stand a chance in the... Oh, no, Yumichi.
Maybe in a bit of trouble here. Has the exhaust, but Faisal here to collapse as well. Oh, to 3v1. That's not fair. Sketching picking up a crucial shutdown in
Julian's
onto
gonna die
Yumichi.
too.
Now Julian is in a whole lot of trouble. Parry securing the kill. BMX Specs now has to be a bit careful. Here comes Geiger on to the backside to try and defend him alongside the turret. So EGP isn't going to go any more than there. But still, that's, I believe, 3 kills in a row now going to EGP. They're just finding the picks that they need, continuing to scale up.
It's just the engage potential, Grapes. There's so many ways to start fights. Xin Zhao jumping in, Wukong jumping in, Rakan jumping in, Arise coming out of a bush. You know, there's so many ways to get on top of No Name, and unfortunately, No Name is just not really set up on the map anywhere. And so as their members were trying to rotate around, they were just routinely getting picked off. And, you know, looking at that top side play, Ayakura just falling behind Leo here on this Rise, and already Rise generally favored in the one-on-one duel in the side lane. So having that extra gold means that it gets even easier. And then meanwhile, mid, again, the engage potential is just way too high. And all of a sudden, what was a 1,000 gold lead for No Name, it feels like just 5 minutes ago, is nearly a 5,000 gold lead for Evil Geniuses.
Yeah, and that's just, I think, a testament to how strong this EGP team is. You know, somebody that a team that, you know, has high expectations, of course, alongside the likes of an organization of the caliber of EG in terms of their talent development. A lot of their players last year made their way up to Academy. These players trying to do the same as well. And they're looking poised to take that next step, looking to try and make their way into this main stage of the Proving Grounds qualifier, of course. No Name, of course, is also looking to do the same here, as they might have a bit of a tall task ahead of them now. The gold lead continuing to grow, but they still have the late game carries here. Yumichi and Ayakura can still do these late game damage. They still have the front to back. I don't know if the wallets are going to be able to handle it here.
Yeah, you've just got to find a way to keep the Soraka alive. Because if you can keep the Soraka alive, then your front line is pretty unkillable. It's so hard. It's so hard when you're against Xin Zhao, Wukong, and Rakan to keep an immobile Soraka from getting jumped on, unfortunately, and it just becomes so difficult to navigate these fights. As Herald dropped on the bottom side, I don't expect too much of a fight. However, No Name has actually mounted the contest. Might see that fight after all, Graves.
They are 5 strong. Keep an eye out on BMX Spec. Does have that engage potential with the Cataclysm. Ayakura waiting in on the wings for a potential engage, but it doesn't look like they're going to happen. That bot lane tower will stay alive for now, as we have just crested the 21-minute mark in this game. The push will continue here for EGP, as they have these lanes continuing to push. So anytime that No Name is shoved in, they are just losing minions here in some of the other side lanes. Tower soon to go down. Let's see if Sketch is able to pick it up, but they might just punish him right here. That's the Cataclysm going forward, and Yumichi with the Gale Force in will secure the shutdown onto her respective marksman. Now the curtain call has opened up. Nice flash in from Dapshin to escape, but could have been a whole lot worse. No Name very heavily punishing EGP off of that push.
Yeah, and it's a huge shutdown, and you guess who picked it up? It's Yumichi on the Jin. She's getting fed again. I actually want to see the gold, because remember earlier it was Yumichi that was way ahead of Sketch, but then Sketch shortly thereafter picked up quite a few kills for himself. But with the shutdown coming through, this game is quickly becoming the battle of the ADCs. Look at that. Only 300 gold separating them, and against all odds, Grapes, Yumichi is still the richest person in this game.
I mean, she has had a fantastic game, finding the right angles, the right opportunities to go for that super aggressive Gale Force forward. Just take down Sketch. I believe she was in melee range at that point, so she knows her limits, and she's able to continue to dish out damage for her team. And No Name still looking poised to try and make this comeback happen. If you can get onto one of these main carries, take down Sketch or Leo before the fight begins, could be in a good spot to take the rest of it.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, Grapes, a lot of this gold lead, I think, is coming in the mid lane. Leo, 3 completed items, 224 CS, 3, 1, and 4. Meanwhile, Ayakura, barely 190 CS, and not having a second completed item is definitely problematic. And although she is scaling, Geiger's caught.
Yep, forced to use that dash defensively. Here comes Dapshin in, but gets instantly one-shot in the 1v5. Now the turnaround from No Name is here. That's Perry getting caught up with the Fear Beyond Death. A double kill for the Urgot. And No Name find 2 crucial picks the Dragon spawns.
Grapes, I blinked, and there was a dead support on my screen. What the hell just happened to Dapshin? He just got eviscerated on the engage, and the Geiger finds the Fear Beyond Death onto Perry as well. That's a tied up Dragon, and We were just talking about gold leads, weak victors. Well, No Name doesn't give a damn. They're just going to out-team fight you anyway.
For anybody who thought that this game was not going to be close, that the 4 seed couldn't possibly lose to the 28 seed, well, I hope you're eating your words right now. I mean, No Name coming back strong here in this game. They can show that they can take these fights whenever they want. If they pick their angles right, they're able to capitalize. Now, 2-2 in the drags, 13-13 in the kills. Sure, the gold still in favor of EGP, but if No Name can keep finding the fights that they want, can change really quickly.
I mean, No Name is proving why they are 2-1 already in this tournament. Yeah, like, they have played so well in this tournament, but I gotta be honest, I expected that EGP would play the way that EGP does. They would win a clean game against this upstart roster. You know, put an end to the Cinderella story, or at least delay it. Well, turns out, Graves, that's not the case, you know? When EGP got up to their 5,000 gold lead, I thought, well, here it is, No Name. They did well, but EGP in the mid game is going to run them over. But no, No Name has fought back, and although EGP is in the lead, this is a game.
Absolutely is. As might not see too much action here. Of course, only Baron being that major objective, you know, on the map right now. So, not entirely sure what the plan is for either of these teams. You always have this split pushing potential with Geiger in the side lane. With the Hull Breaker, will be super survivable down in the bottom side. And if No Name is positioned correctly, if anybody on EGP go too hard for this Urgot, you can always look towards that Baron Nashor. So that's the power of the split push here. Faisal knows he has to be careful.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, Geiger has all of a sudden gotten really fed on this Urgot. 5 kills. Remember, we saw the 2v1 dive under the tier 2 tower earlier in front of Dragon, finding the kill onto Parry. So this signature Urgot pick showing us why it has that signature on it, Grapes. Baron on the map, but it doesn't really seem like either team wants to start it. EGP does delete Baron should they get free time with it, but funneling into the pit against a Jarvan, against a Victor, is a risky prospect.
Yeah, definitely. And even with the 5v5s in tow, if Dapsh is not able to find a great engage, I mean, Julian on this Soraka is just a better champion. With that Moonstone completed, we'll be able to wipe through a lot of the grievous wounds that might start to come through with that Wish. And we'll be able to keep a lot of those main carries in the front line topped off for as long as possible. So I think any long extended fights around this pit where No Name have the collapse definitely go their way. So EGP have to be careful. They have to try to find a flank with Faisal like they did around that Rift Herald earlier if they want to get a hold of this game.
Again, it's the question of, can EGP find the engage angle? If the answer is yes, I think they're going to blow away this backline. But if they can't, it all of a sudden gets difficult. Jinx and Ryze are still going to do a hell of a lot of damage the more this game progresses. Geiger is going to collapse on his jungler's near.
Onto Geiger, yeah, has the Hull Breaker, but now will not have those extra resistances as BMX Spec is going to come forward. He'll buy some time as BMX Spec is forced to flash away, but Parry will get the first kill of the fight, and look at that, Daption with the immediate grand entrance in onto 2. Ayakura will go down as well. Yumichi didn't even get a chance for a fair fight. Geiger goes down, the shutdown goes over to Daption. 3 straight dead for No Name. EGP win the fight.
Yeah, critically, Sketch was caught on the on the top side of that fight, so that is flash blown from the Jinx, but No Name, they're just not quite in time to find the collapse. And Daption on this Rakan finds another beautiful 2-man knockup right as Ayakura's TP comes through. They have Baron in their sights. TP up and available on Geiger, but remember, it was Ayakura that TP'd into the last fight. BMX Bex is coming up at 7. This is risky, Grapes. They have vision.
Curtain Call is available for Yumichi if he wants to go for the steal. But it looks like EGP might take the Baron down too quickly for a contest by the likes of Geiger off the teleport. So it will be the objective secured here for Evil Genius's Prodigies. They get a big break with those 3 kills down bottom, and they're going to maybe have the potential to blow the map open after they pick up this purple buff.
Yeah, it feels like the story of the game, Grapes. EGP, they make a big play. They get far ahead. No Name punches back. Then EGP, they take that another step ahead. It just doesn't feel like No Name can really get a foothold in this game, but they're doing just enough to keep it relevant. So we just got to keep waiting and waiting and waiting for each of these fights to break out, because their composition, it has to team fight. They're not going to win on the sides. Baron available means that EGP can exacerbate their lead, but maybe a pick on Parry could change that.
We'll see what happens, though. Collapse imminent here for EGP. This dragon spawning in 5 seconds would mean soul point for either of them, but now back to the bottom side. Parry already popping the Harrison guard, but Julian goes down first, and now the resets are here for Sketch. The exhaust will end up meaning that he falls to Yumichi, but The trade back onto the Jhin is crucial. BMX Specs and Geiger are the only ones alive, but they're the front line. They don't do too much damage. Leo is not going to go down. A triple kill for Faisal at the end of the day, and only BMX Specs is up to try and defend this dragon, but will not be able to do so. It is sole point now for EGP.
It's another split fight, and No Name just can't get it done. EGP, beautiful collapse, realm warp in Daption again. He finds the engage. This time does not get one shot, able to get out with just a sliver of HP, and Faisal on the Wukong picking up 3 kills in the middle of this fight. Let's take another look. So, who's collapsing on who? Perry and Daption base checking in, but they quickly realize that the solo laners are behind. Shirelius popped to get Daption in range, forces both the flashes off the bot laners, and look at the Crescent guard there. Perry, he splits the fight and allows for his solo laners to just run it over, Grapes.
Yeah, and of course, Yumichi was able to 100-0 essentially sketch streams in that fight, but it didn't seem like
not enough.
The rest of No Name was, well, yeah, they weren't able to collapse. They didn't have that 5v5 that they really wanted, and you hope that we get to see a chance again for No Name to fight this front to back the way that they want to, but it seems like EGP are finding the opportune moments to go for the plays when they're at a numbers advantage, and that's what's been getting them ahead at this game. Now an 8,000 gold lead with the Baron buff still in hand. Yeah,
8,000 gold lead. That might just be it, Grapes. That might be what is insurmountable. No Name, they survived 30 minutes. Can they survive a few more? Baron buff, I would imagine, is running out pretty soon, but Ocean Soul spawning for EGP in 3.5 minutes. That will be the true test. BMX Specs and Ayakura on the flank, but I don't think there's a fight to be had.
You need an engage. You need a crucial pick here. You need to keep Ayakura and Yumichi alive in these fights to dish out the damage that is necessary to keep the game alive for No Name. Baron buff despawning in about 10 seconds, so EGP will get one more wave of these buffed up creeps to push in onto the inhibitor. They will get the one into the bottom side. Don't think they'll be able to get much after that. Now with the Baron buff gone, does BMX Specs look for something? Won't go just yet. There's that Chaos Storm in onto Perry. Will be forced to pop that Crescent guard. Yumichi just sending out the curtain call to get the rest of EGP out of the base, and so it won't be any kills going over, but EGP now have those supers pushing down in the bottom lane.
Grapes, if you ever wondered why junglers like Xin Zhao so much, that's why. He doesn't die, he has a great early game, and he fights well.
Faisal might be in trouble though. Deadly Flourish alongside all the other crowd control that is here. The Fear Beyond Death is tagged, has not been unlocked just yet. Will Faisal be able to survive here? We'll get slowed up again, flag and track forward, and it will finally be the shutdown here onto Yumichi, picking up a crucial kill onto one of the main carries of EGP. So 1 kill got back. What can EGP do on the other side of the map? The answer is not very much, maybe just taking a couple of jungle camps.
Yeah, another shutdown though, going over to Yumichi. She's getting stronger on the Jhin, but so far at least, she's not been enough to do it alone. We need to see the X-Factor performances in the team fights from Geiger, from Ayakura. Ayakura on this Victor has just not really been able to get it done so far this game, but that's definitely a big pick. Buys you a lot of time in this game, and most importantly, buys you some control on the bottom side of the map, with Dragon Soul spawning in 2 minutes. They get a mid tower as well. That isn't a no objective bounty because no champion in the area.
Unfortunate. Still, the map opening up a little bit for No Name. Maybe help them spot out some of the flanks that EGP have been going for time and time again around some of these major objectives. And it's a bit of a tense moment here in this game. Of course, No Name down about 7,000 gold, but we have seen what can happen if, you know, Yumichi is left untouched, now sitting at 4 items. She has a Death's Dance as well, so might actually be able to survive some of that frontline burst that, you know, the dive from Faisal and Perry could end up having in this sense. And if they're able to get a kill, the resets can come in. Yumichi, she'll be able to stay alive for a decent amount of time right now with this defensive item.
Yeah, this is actually a sick build here. I do not know the math on this, so I'm not really going to comment on whether or not it's actually good, but it is. Basically, I assume the read is that this is more of a tank-oriented Rise. It's not, like, gonna one-shot you. So the Rise isn't the hugest damage threat, and then after that, it's all physical damage, auto-attacking base champs. So these Ninja Tabbies in this Death's Dance going to give you a lot of value, and we've seen what Yumichi's damage is capable of. She already can kill pretty much everybody, except for maybe the super tanky Rise or a full passive stacked Wukong, but seems the way she's been playing, she's mostly been looking at Sketch, of all people, trying to just blow him off the map.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you can take that Jinx down early on, would definitely be big. But again, the collapse from the Realm Warp, and the fight has already begun here. Got to keep your eyes on Yumichi. Can she stay alive in this fight? The Wish is going to heal them up. BMX Dex issues a Cataclysm, but that's already 2 kills in the favor of EGP. Faisal getting the resets here with the Cyclone, going to flash forward and knock up 2. A double kill for Sketch, make it a triple. Yumichi is trying to stay alive. She's doing her best, but it will not be enough
Leo's
to
in the
keep No
base.
Team into this game. Leo teleports in, but the kills will finish off here. Faisal picking up the ace, and Evil Genius's Prodigies will make their way into the Proving Grounds main event.
Evil Genius's Prodigies, they get the result they expected, but maybe not the way they expected it. 34 minutes was the clock, but they still found the win. No Name did not have enough left. You have to imagine it, if in that final team fight, if Ayakura was just that little bit stronger, they might have been able to pull it out, but unfortunately the damage was not there, the tankiness was not there. In EGP, ease of execution composition comes out.
I mean, you talk about ease of execution, but the team fighting coming out of EGP was very, very impressive. They were able to use the Realm Warp, the other flanks from the teleport from Faisal as well, to just keep finding these engages that would give them the advantage, when in other situations you can definitely see No Name able to take those fights, win out on those engages. But it's actually just of course, Evil Genius's Prodigies coming out on top here, and have finally made their way into the main events. But obviously, for No Name, still have that potential to qualify after falling to 2-2. Definitely keep your eyes out on that matchup. I don't know exactly where that's going to be, but I think Yumichi and the rest of the squad have definitely proved that they're going to be very, very scary for any opponent that they end up facing.
So, Grapes, we may not have gotten the upset here, and No Name, they're still going to have a chance to qualify. They're still going to have a chance to qualify later on in this next game. But elsewhere in the open qualifier, the York Lions, the 29 seed in this tournament, have upset Bogged, who now fall to 2-2. And the York Lions, I do believe, have qualified for the main event, as well as Winthrop was just upset as well. They fall to 2-2, which puts, I believe it was no third party qualifying as well for the main group stage. Grapes, this is insane.
Lots of upsets happening here in the OQ. Almost saw one here on the stream, but there's a lot of teams that
went blow for blow here on this stream.
A lot of teams that have been very, very focused on taking those victories in, and obviously have made their marks here, already qualifying for the main event. So congratulations to third party, congratulations to the York Lions, as well as we'll be seeing more of them in the coming weeks. But we still have one more matchup here, some more teams to qualify, some more seeds to determine. But again, before we do so, I want to thank some of our sponsors here at Unified, especially of Skulls. If you're looking to upgrade your gamer gear, look no further. Start your 2022 off right with official Unified Esports merchandise brought to you by Skulls. Hoodies, joggers, jerseys, armbands, and a lot more are coming soon. You have the skill? Now get the swag. Skulls.com/collections/unified has everything that you need. Gear up, game on, Skulls. We'll be back with round 5 after this.